funny. That's funny. That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
It was really good.
Oh, you didn't have 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad that was before the record. Once you get it.
Okay. Want to welcome everyone to our South Weber City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, June the 28th, 2022, and it's 6 p.m. We'll begin with a pledge of allegiance, and then we'll have a prayer by Councilman Dills. Please follow me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kind and most glorious Heavenly Father, we are so grateful for thy Spirit to be with us today so that we could go about the business of the city, that we could look into the projects and the topics that we have before us today, and that we will be able to look at the needs of the citizens and how to best serve them. We are grateful for our service providers. We are grateful for the police that we have here tonight and the service that they do. And we ask, Father, that you protect them when they are out on their duty. And as we say, humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Councilman Petty is asked to be excused this evening, so we'll excuse her. We'll begin with public comments. If anyone has public comments, we would invite you to come up to the podium. Thank you.
Okay, to be passed down. Thank you. Paul Sturm, 2527 Deer Run Drive. My first comment has to do with action item 7, the DCSO Contractor Law Enforcement Services. This is a thought that came to me at about 2:15 in the morning, about 3 or 4 days ago. And it reads, during the last city council meeting, during discussions on DCSO services, comments were made regarding providing additional coverage in residential areas. I believe that the South Weber City contract with DCSO should cover only residential areas. All other roads within South Weber City boundaries are either state or federal roadways, and that coverage cost should be attributed to those entities and not South Weber City. Number 2, public comment. Action item 8, vehicle take-home use. The statement is there from the agenda. Number A, the sample motion language. The sample motion language shown is not consistent with other presentations. I believe that the sample motion language shown on page 35 of 287 for the policies and procedure manual better represents the options that are available to the city council for their consideration. B, the text of section 7.110J shown on page 32 to 33 of 287 is not formatted for approval, and as a result was not properly inserted into the official South Weber City document for its approval for the policies and procedures manual. Number 3, action item 9, annual policies and procedures update. A, And this is from that page 34, paragraph on page 34 of 287, does not mention the major addition to the vehicle take-home policy to the Policies and Procedure Manual. The sample motion language is not consistent with other presentations. I believe that the sample motion language shown on 35 is better represents the options available to City Council and provides the City Council with more options to consider. This revised Policies and Procedure Manual, being an official South Weber City document, lacks substantial consistency in format. It is more likely a simple cut and paste without reformatting. This is important because order of precedence is achieved with standardized formatting, including indentures. Examples in section 4.080 holiday pay. Juneteenth was not inserted in date order. That's on page 169 of 287. Section 7110J, page 207 of 287, is not formatted. You should see 7110L as an example of how to do this. Blank spaces, pages 215 of 287, and many other examples. This is what the City Council is signing off as an official South Weber City document. Public comment on action item 10, award source meter project. Reading action item 10 was very confusing at first. Who is Dana Schuler? And spelling Schuler, and that was spelled differently in another portion of the document. That question is not answered, even partially, until you read resolution 22-34 text that is awaiting City Council signature. Mr. Schuler should have been initially identified as and Jones and Associates engineer. It is also impossible to correlate the budget numbers with the vendor bids shown. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Any other comments? Okay, moving along. Item number 4, our new employee is under the weather tonight, so she's not here. We'll move on to our public hearing. Ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, this is a public hearing to amend the 2021-22 budget. The items were listed in our packet. Are there any discussions on this item? Seeing none, do we have any?
Do you want to close the public hearing first? Do we have any?
Okay, seeing no comments on the public hearing, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, council, we have any discussion on this?
I just had one question for staff. What was the sundry revenue from?
So that was insurance payment for the repair of the vehicle.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That was the only question I had.
Any other? Then we'll ask for a motion on this.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we move to approve resolution, need a drink of water. Resolution 22-30, the 2021-2022 budget amendment number 2.
Second.
Okay, we'll begin with the roll call vote by Councilman Deal.
Aye.
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 4 in favor, motion carries. We'll go to resolution 22-31, Davis County Sheriff Office contract for law enforcement services. Any discussion on this new contract? This will be a contract for 1 year, beginning July the 1st. Discussions on this?
I just had a couple of questions. When we talked about it in public safety, having the 2 patrol units, we talked about them being on a consistent schedule where their hours become predictable of when they are in the city and when they are not. Were we able to address that issue with this contract, or is DCSO planning that separately?
So we didn't want to put into the contract specific language as far as that type of operations, because that's something that's subject to change just based on needs during the year. But that has been discussed as far as how officers are assigned and scheduled to try to vary that so that it doesn't become obvious of what time somebody would be patrolling and when they would not be patrolling. So
Okay.
we've had conversations with DCSO leadership about that.
And I thought it would be a similar assignment as to what we're currently doing. So,
Right. The idea is that not a whole lot changes this
Mhm.
year with this contract as far as the operations, but it does give us a chance over this next period of a year to better understand the change now that paramedic services is not being provided by DCSO, to put more of a long-term plan in place of what that could look like.
Okay. And then on 3C, number 1, which is under compensation, just regarding the bailiff services, is that separate from their 40 hours or included in their 40 hours?
That's separate.
Okay, I figured so much. And then, I don't know if maybe this is a question for you or for them, but what is the Narcotics Strike Force? What services do they provide? And is that something that we need to have a separate contract for in the future, or is that something that's not needed for our city?
Would you like to address that at all as far as the specifics of the Narcotics Strike Force?
So you want to know as far as
Yeah,
the services you're getting from them?
well, it's not included in this agreement, anything for the strike force. So I was just wondering what that Narcotic Strike Force covers.
So the Davis Metro Narcotics Strike Force is a multi-agency drug task force that either agencies contribute an officer or officers to, or they contribute funding for that. And they investigate large drug crimes and distribution organizations out of Davis County and surrounding it.
Okay,
So that's just part of what comes with each agency and what they do, and they where drugs can be done to.
okay.
When I worked for the task force, I actually had some large cases of it.
And
The
way-
Maverick?
The way I understood it is that it would be kind of what I would call the back of house stuff that's coming with our contract anyway. So if they do a large drug, have something that happens, then the Narcotic Task Force will automatically take it over as part of this
Oh,
contract
okay.
still. So it's kind of the back of the house that we're getting that's not spelled out in each hourly charge.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect.
Is that,
Yeah, that's what it is. So if it's something that's outside of what we have the capabilities to get a lot of time to for a patrol officer, that would be sent to the task force.
Okay, thank you. That answers all my questions.
Others?
Just a couple quick questions. Number one, I actually didn't think about it. I wanted to hear the answer to Paul's question. The state road, South Weaver Drive is a state road. Is that the city's responsibility to patrol? I don't know how those things work, because I know that you guys wouldn't hit the 89 or 84 because that's highway patrol. Is there somebody that actually should be maintaining and patrolling the state road, and are we paying for it instead of them? I don't know. I honestly don't know, so it's a good question.
The way I understand it, would be, it's really ultimately up to you guys' choice if you wanted us to patrol the highway patrol. We're gonna patrol because we're in the area. Sitting on South Weaver Drive, so even though it's a state road,
Would you mind coming to the mic?
Yep.
Just thank you.
is providing
visibility of our deputies to the public that's commuting through South Weaver. They're normally not going through the neighborhoods and the neighborhood roads. Yes, we encourage the deputies to patrol in the neighborhoods and be in there as much as possible, but we also try and sit in areas where we know that people who are commuting through see that we're here, and in the hopes of discouraging any criminal activity that they might be passing through to see, or people that just because they don't live here may just not have the respect they should for the citizens of South Weaver, the city they're going through. So for instance, Layton City, Highway 89 goes through Layton City. Layton City had chosen for themselves, I don't know if it's still current right now, but they were taking care of accidents and certain investigations on Highway 89, even though that's a state road. And traditionally, that would have been the response of Highway Patrol.
Okay. So 2 units, how many hours does that basically equate to?
80 hours.
80 hours still? You just said that you like being out in kind of a visible area. South Weaver has kind of a unique area, as you can tell. We've got an entrance and an exit point. And not saying that, you know, criminals do this, but it'd be pretty easy to send somebody into the city and just have somebody sit at Maverick and wait till one of your cars come in. And then just say, hey, listen, get out. I would rather prefer to see a lot more in neighborhood patrolling than sitting out on the front being the visual deterrent. Because I think South Weaver knows we've got a visual deterrent in some areas, but the streets, and you can talk to Pope. I beat him up to death on it every chance I can. Our local streets are ridiculous. I mean, I watched today as a UPS truck blew down the road going probably around 40, 45 on a neighborhood road. I know they're in a hurry like everybody else, but this is kind of crazy. So I personally, and I can't speak for the rest of the council, I personally would like to see a lot more in the cities, in the actual neighborhoods, and with the intent to catch, not to warn. We've done that for quite a while and it hasn't done anything. I'm sure you guys experience that in every city out there right now. So, but it's really getting kind of scary and dangerous in places. So, I think that's it. Yeah, I think those are the only questions that I had.
I just add a question, clarification on the state road. You know, if for whatever reason we carved out the state road thing, then somebody was speeding on South River Drive. I mean, they're Davis County. South
Yeah.
River Drive is in Davis County and Highway 89 is in Davis County. If somebody's violating the law, they have the authority to address it. So I don't know that it makes sense to try to carve out, okay, if something happens on these state roads, we're not going to pay for it. So, you know, I'm sure as a law official, they would still handle it. But you know, I just
Yeah,
don't wanna-
that was not my intention. I was, when the question came up, it really made me think whether that is a road that technically we should be, you know, paying for versus, because we are, I mean, obviously you're covering everything in the city and that's our main thoroughfare and it's also a main source of traffic and speeding. So yeah, that wasn't the intention either way. So,
And that's the way I understood it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Got it. Well, ask for a motion then on this resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2231, Davis County Sheriff's Office contract for law enforcement services.
I'll second.
Second, and we'll begin with the roll call vote by Councilman Halverson.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you.
I just said, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys very much. Thanks. Resolution 22-32, amending policy and procedure manual. 7.110J, vehicle take-home use. Any discussion on this resolution amendment? Dave? You look like.
Maybe give us some
Yeah, I'm
background,
I'm
Dave.
happy to just give a little bit of an introduction here. This is something that has been talked about on the staff level for a while and was taken to the Admin Finance Committee and now for the council's consideration. There is one section of our current policies and procedures manual that just simply says Employees do not take vehicles home. They're not allowed to take vehicles home. My understanding of the history is that the city used to allow that in certain circumstances, and then that was changed at one point. And the question before the council is to change it back. And the thinking and the reasoning, it is only for certain circumstances and certain situations that vehicles would be allowed to be taken home by employees. And it's centered around being on call, which mostly lands in the Public Works Department and occasionally in the Fire Department. And the different scenarios there. For Public Works, we have a rotating schedule. There's always an employee on call after hours. They're on call scheduled for an entire week, and then that rotates each week to a different Public Works employee. The idea is, and the experience is, that at times, if there is an on-call situation where they need to come back to the city from being home, to reduce the amount of time to respond and make it more of a rapid response, not having to go to the Public Works shop and change vehicles or grab equipment or things like that, to be able to have that vehicle that they just hop into from home during those nights when they're on call. It would also apply to the scenario where there are certain fire department employees that live within the city. And at times they take one of the vehicles home. We've affectionately referred to it as the squad vehicle in the past. And they have acted as backup when the on-duty crew has been called out. And so they've been able to either respond if they need an extra hand with a city vehicle, or go to the station and be a backup there at the station. And so those are the two main scenarios. One other scenario that this would apply to, we have our Public Works Director and Assistant Director that are effectively on call all the time. They are kind of number 2 and 3 in responding when there's an on-call situation before bringing others. That's more of something that might be considered an employee benefit as much as as a rapid response type of a situation, which might have some other considerations to it if you think about it in those terms. But there is an option, I guess, to deem those types of employees as on call, just more of a permanent basis than that rotating schedule. Ultimately, the policy says that the approval would come to the city manager for those on-call status situations that would allow the employee to take a vehicle home. The Admin Finance Committee looked at this and asked questions about cost, about increase in gas prices, any increase in wear and tear, if there would be a high price tag to this. Analysis shows that it's not necessarily a high price tag. With our vehicle lease and the way that we will be rotating vehicles, yes, there'd be some added mileage there, but it doesn't get us outside any of those lease arrangements or things like that. There's not a concern that it would become too burdensome on the vehicle as far as wear and tear and additional maintenance costs. Although there is gas cost, and by the time we talked about this initially and now, as it comes forward, gas prices continue to increase, and so that may be a consideration as well if you take it. But that's the general thinking behind the vehicle policy. It's one part reinstating a policy that was here previously for on-call status only and limiting it to that, and one part recognition as potentially kind of a benefit as well as an on-call coverage for a couple of employees as well. And I'm happy to answer any additional questions or the Admin Finance Committee as well.
Questions?
I just had one. It's actually in the policies and procedures, but I saw that the rate increased from $11 to $22. I'm assuming it's just coming up to more market value. Is that the case?
Yeah, that was actually, should have been changed a long time ago and wasn't updated.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know how long ago it was, but.
Yeah, that's something that I'm not sure exactly when or when that was missed, but yeah, that was kind of a cleanup item that we've been paying $22 per day instead of 11 for a period of time. And so we need the policy manual to reflect that.
Okay, thank you.
Those two things were not related as far as preparation for this evening.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's a good question. The only concerns I have on this is that obviously the potential for abuse is quite high in that this can become somebody's vehicle, basically, that they use it for all their activities, wherever they go, whenever they do on it. And I think that there is definitely a benefit to having an on-call car that can come back and forth. It just, it says that these are going to be specific to the written direction or approval of the city manager. And I just want to make sure that you understand that I am concerned about that abuse, that especially with gas prices right now. I mean, I understand going home. I understand you got to stop on your way home. I mean, it doesn't, I'm not trying to, limit everything, but at the same time, if you're going to take a drive down to Salt Lake, I'd rather you take your own car. So there's the potential for it. And I just want to make sure that you're going to have some type of visibility to it, whether that's the gas bill that comes in or something that does it on the on-call vehicle, just so we know, okay, guys, this is going beyond, because yeah, we have the one on-call guy, and then we, like you said, we have a couple of the managers that might have it at a certain time, or supervisors. So just
Yeah, that's a very fair concern. The policy is written in such a way where it is home to work with potentially an ancillary stop that's kind of on the way, but it is not to be used for, personal use as a vehicle outside of that. But having it written like that and managing that and making sure that is taking place are, two different conversations. You're absolutely right.
And I think just another thing to point out is, it's the city manager's, written approval or direction, and it says permanent or semi-permanent. So if at any point, gas goes sky high, it's already sky high, but anyway.
At any point, what?
Sky double, triple, whatever it is. But if something comes up where you think financially or whatever, you can rescind it for a time. That allows you to do it. It's not like we're making it an all the time thing. You still have that discretion, correct?
Yes.
Good point.
So I would just, encourage you to have, Mac or somebody just track it the first few months just to see what impact it's having.
No.
Okay. Any
Nothing
further
else
questions? That's for a motion then.
Mayor, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 22-32, amending policies and procedurals manual. Nope, not that one. Yeah, that one. Manual 7.110J, vehicle take-home use.
I second that.
We'll have a roll call vote, starting with Councilman Beals.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, Resolution 22-33, Annual Policy and Procedure Update. Each of the few updates that we've made to this policy. Davey, got anything to say on that?
No, I tried to explain that in the background. This is something that is mostly just kind of a cleanup item when we recognize, for example, that $11 and $22 difference, where we just need to make sure the policy manual is up to date. This is not a comprehensive review of every policy. It's mostly when we run into snags throughout the year, just updating it and making sure that it's cleaned up that way. There is at least one in here that I'd like to draw your attention to, and that's the flag policy. That's something that's been discussed before in the PR committee. There is a practice in the city that we have of only flying the United States of America flag, the state flag, or the city flag on public property. However, it hasn't been written in policy. So we wanted to make sure that was documented. And so that's why that's included. All the others were just kind of clarifications or more minor changes. Juneteenth was brought up. That's just adding that to the list. Lower in the policy manual, after the list, it says that we already adopt those new federal holidays. So it's just adding that to the list as it's outlined. I think at one point, no, that's not even needed to be said. So
I don't remember birthdays being on a federal holiday list.
We did that last year. I thought that was pretty incredible. I mean, I want my okay, anyway.
I think everyone should have to work on their birthday. That's been my policy for a long time.
I think that's what you said
I
last
agree,
year.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Can we just put
Every-
my birthday on there and everybody gets paid on my birthday
We all
too?
get
It's
your
a gift
birthday
I
off?
just give to everybody.
You can add that if you'd like. I'm not going to turn it down.
We just need to recognize that it's starting to get to be a lot. There's now 13 days, it's almost 2 weeks. Well, it's more than 2 weeks. You're almost 3 weeks of paid vacation for holidays. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying we'll have to start discussing it, I think. I mean, that's a lot. When on top of vacation.
I agree with that. I've been on, I sat on several boards and this has been brought up in both of, in the ones that I've sat on and to add this June 6th, what is it called? Juneteenth. They have replaced it.
Yeah, that's what
Taken the
most
holiday
places
off
have
and took
replaced
this
the
one
holiday
off.
with it versus
What
just
they did,
adding it.
rather than just add it, they
Mhm.
felt like, similar to what Blair said, seemed to be quite a few, and so they just replaced them. So I think that's probably worth looking at.
Is that something we want to discuss? Or,
Well, I don't mind, I mean, we'd
I
have
thought
to
the
change
same
our
thing.
philosophy of, are we gonna follow the federal holidays? Are we not gonna follow the federal holidays? I mean. some
is the day
cities-
after Thanksgiving a federal holiday? I always had to work
Oh,
those days.
no, it is not. Nor is the day after Christmas or the day before Christmas.
I know that there were kind of some swaps at one
There's-
point
Mhm.
before my time, so I don't know all the history.
And those were added
That-
in those swaps. And so that's why those are things that if we're gonna just keep automatically adding them, because there's gonna be more added by the federal government eventually, like them or not.
Not,
Um,
sorry.
Because, yeah, we are actually, the union that we negotiate with actually opted not to add Juneteenth. Because they still wanted to keep the other holidays, because we were at 14. That's a lot of days.
Yeah, I hear, 12 is kind of a standardized number.
Mhm,
When you hit 13 and 14, then those conversations start happening.
mhm.
So there
And
are,
what are we at? I'm sorry, Quinn.
13
We're at 13, with birthday or without birthday?
with birthday.
Okay.
so we also have a couple federal holidays that aren't on this list. So how did, have we-
Those were the ones that were swapped for the day after Thanksgiving and either the day before or after Christmas.
like
from what I
Veterans Day and
understand.
others, things
yeah.
like that? Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah. It's always harder to remove something that's been in there than to add something that hasn't. But I mean, is Juneteenth more important than those other ones that we removed? Or that we're not observing?
You know, we have a
It's
small
all
enough.
subjective. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, we have a small enough staff that we could actually just give them 12 holidays, and then they can pick out of the list of 16 when they want to take them. That way it doesn't stop one from celebrating a certain holiday that they like, or something that is, a religious holiday to them or something. But I mean, it's,
Yeah, the idea of a floating holiday, I've
Mhm.
seen before where
Yeah.
you'll give 4 holidays and then here's a list that you can use them on or something. Designate certain ones where City Hall is closed and then others that are floating.
Sure.
It does become a little bit more difficult when is City Hall closed, when is it not
Yeah.
closed, kind of a situation. But we can manage all of that kind of stuff depending on how you'd like to handle it.
I like that.
Do you want a 2-2 vote on
Yeah.
that, Rob?
Angie left proxy.
I mean, the holidays that we had before this particular one was added, I think I think most people like, because they're pretty family friendly as far as vacations with days before, day after, whatever. They're the bigger holidays around this area. I mean, I'm okay with doing a floating thing too. It is a coordinating kind of a mess for some people, especially like the public works and some of those things. If you end up with all your senior staff picking certain holidays and all your junior staff not, or whatever. So
I think for our scenario, I prefer just
straight,
selecting them and,
yeah.
but I recognize the potential benefit of floating holidays as well.
Have we been celebrating, did we take Juneteenth off this year?
Yes,
But not last year, right?
not last year, no. I think they designated it like the day before or something, and so we worked in 2021.
It's not a big issue for me. It's one of those things that I think at this point, we can't go past this point on number of days. Whether you agree with certain holidays or not.
Well, we won't always be here,
Mhm.
except for you, Blair. You'll always be here.
I'm always gonna be here. Maybe sitting by Paul, but
Do we want to put, like how many holidays that we're gonna celebrate and leave it as this list? And if more holidays come up, then future councils know that, something's gotta go or don't add it. Sorry, I'm not on. Did you hear
you
me?
were, but it went off.
Oh,
You're underneath that.
I went back off again. There we go.
I'm good with capping it. Like you said, most people are 12. We're at 13 right now. I would prefer to cap it at 13. So that it doesn't.
Yeah, because I
keep
think you're
continuing
right.
to
I think we're
past.
gonna have more federal holidays come in, so it might be something that we want to be like, all right, well, of the 25 we have, you can have 13 or whatever, and I think the float.
25.
I think the floating, I can understand the appealingness of it, but I feel like that would be a bit of a nightmare with staff. So I think capping it might be a good way to find a solution.
Then it's just a discussion with staff, and that's what the holidays they want.
Yeah.
It may be as easy as adding to that line where it says the city will automatically adopt up to a
Yeah.
max of 13.
Max of
Exactly.
13.
Yeah.
Got that written down, Haley?
No.
Quinn does. He's right.
Go for it, Quinn.
And I was just gonna add that let's put Juneteenth in the proper order
Oh, yeah. I have that
chronologically
too.
as well. 'Cause right now it's after Pioneer Day.
Yeah.
And July 4th.
That can be done.
Before you do that, can I just say, as I was going through reviewing all of this, our policy and procedures manual, if this is the actual one that we're sending out being printed, I would really suggest that you just cut all of the English, just Control-A, Control-C, and Control-V into another document and go through it and fix the formatting, the spellings. I mean, just run it through, simple Grammarly or something. And because just every time I bring it up, it's got a lot of them through it. If you need me to, I'll do it. I mean, it takes some editing. I understand that, but this is it's our policy manual. And I mean, looking through here, we've got places where we've got almost an entire page of where it was returned and then taken down to another section. Almost looks like it bleeds into it. It just needs a quick cleanup. We've had a lot of cutting and pasting going in and fixing little areas of it. If we could just bring that up to a little more professional real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick.
We can update
Like
the
that.
formatting, I'm sure.
Like I said, if you need help, I'm more than willing to do it. It's just this is it's like Paul said, it's a public document. So,
Yep, we can do that.
sorry, Clint, thank you.
Very good.
Great.
Anything else? Okay, can we get a motion on this?
I'll make a motion with the following amendment. or the emotion, the emotion, yeah. Put the emotion on here. I'll make a motion, Mayor. I move that we amend Resolution 2223, the annual policies and procedures update list with the changes of moving Juneteenth chronologically where it should be in order, and the paragraph underneath the list of the holidays saying South Weber City will cap holiday pay at 13 days. Any future holidays adopted by the state and federal government will require city staff discussion.
I second that.
For the second, we'll have ask for a roll call vote, starting with Councilman Halverson.
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So did you
Joel.
catch that, Michelle or
Yeah.
Dave? The language on that? Okay.
Item number 10, Resolution 22-34, Award Source Meter Project. Any discussion on this, Dave? You want to say anything there?
I know that the document that went out, the staff report that went out in the packet was a draft report and created a little bit of confusion. I hope that you received the updated staff report that hopefully clarified some of those things that were there. Happy to answer any questions if you have based on that updated staff report. I also sent, sorry, I should add one more thing. As far as the total project budget, there was a question as what that was. I sent an email today that had that information. Let me make sure that I look at that so that we're all working off the same thing. The total project budget would be $115,000. That would include what has already been paid in the design and bidding. It would include a $5,000 amount and estimate for construction management. The contractor amount that is recommended today for Orman Construction, typically and then a contingency amount of the difference that gets us to the 115, the contingency amount of $2,644.41. We feel as staff that contingency is a small amount, but we don't anticipate it needing to be a whole lot more than that. This project is fairly straightforward. Typically, this type of project goes to the low bidder. And the first thought when we receive bids is looking at the bid calculations. Where's the low bidder? Are they capable? Are they, a contractor that we know and trust? Or based on reference checks, are we comfortable with them? In this case, the low bid and the second bid were just a few $100s difference. And Orman Construction is the company that did the repair work on the water tank. So they have already been on site. We are familiar with them. We've worked with them. We're very comfortable with them. And we believe that going with them actually will save us more money in the end with the construction management and oversight that would be needed. We do believe that AAA could handle it. However, our experience with Ormond and reference checks and experience with them just makes us more comfortable working with Ormond. And so that's why the staff recommendation is to go with Ormond Construction, who in this case was not the low bidder by a few $100s.
Any other discussion? Ask for a motion on this resolution.
Before we do, one question. Where's the money coming to pay for this? Is it already budgeted?
No, this is not already budgeted. So this project is a result of state mandates, essentially. And so it was not on our capital facilities plan or other project budgets that way. We do have money available in the water fund, which is where this would come out of because it's water infrastructure. And so we will put that $115,000 budget line item in the final budget that would be adopted after the Truth in Taxation hearing in August. So it will make the final budget, but by awarding this now, we're able to move on this project and make that happen. So the money is available. We have the $115,000 but it is not previously budgeted. So by awarding the contract tonight for the Orman bid, or whichever other bid, if you choose to go against staff recommendation, we understand sometimes that happens, then we don't take offense in any way. Then we would just establish that project budget at that amount through the final budget process. But you're absolutely right in recognizing that by awarding the project, you're also acknowledging the need to put that money in the budget.
But like you said, it's a state mandate, so
Yes,
it's one of those we have to do anyway. So.
yep.
Did that come through this legislative session? Or was it? a while ago.
No, that was the previous one, I believe. Yep. That's a good question. I don't remember off the top of my head. But there's been a lot of talk about water conservation and whatnot. This has been part of that. And the state is requiring us to track water usage a little bit differently, and it's requiring these types of meters so that we can get what information they're requiring now.
And it was prior session, and it's gone through an administrative process at the state level where they've issued administrative rules, and that defines a little bit what the city has to do here.
So
Thank
just
you.
one follow-up question on the budget. If I remember correctly, we didn't assign all of our ARPA money yet. Would this qualify as potential ARPA money?
It would qualify.
Okay.
Yep, it would absolutely qualify. Staff is still in research mode based on our last ARPA discussion to gather the research on those various projects. We wanted to bring all of that back at the same time so that you could, have that comparison and make the decision. And this would be something that if you wanted to use ARPA money instead of fund balance money, then that's an option. Yeah.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
Mayor, I'll move to approve resolution 22-34, award source meter project contract to Orman Construction, Inc. in the amount of $99,609.59.
Seconded.
For the second, we'll have a roll call vote starting with Councilman Dills.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Next item, resolution 22-35, final acceptance of Ray Creek subdivision. Any discussion on this?
Let me just add one piece of information that wasn't necessarily in the staff report. The recommendation is to use some of the escrow money from the developer and do some asphalt repair. If the council does not want to take on that added project, you have the ability to require that the developer does it themselves and takes care of that. Staff's recommendation is that we do that for a couple reasons. One is to help close out the project more quickly at this stage. And also we feel more comfortable that adding that to our street maintenance project will be able to get a higher quality product there and repair.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Out of curiosity, who's the developer for Ray Creek?
This is Rob Edwards.
Rob Edwards.
Thank you.
So, sorry, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just a quick question. You said it would happen more quickly if we did it. What would be the timing for them if we required them to do it?
It would just kind of hang out there until they're done. We're not able to do the final acceptance until,
So
sorry.
I can answer the question is we'll get it done much faster than they will,
Okay,
for sure.
thank you.
But my problem is, and no offense to Brandon, he's budgeted this off of square footage numbers. Are we comfortable that number is going to cover what needs to be repaired? We haven't had anything come in because of costs, and it's not anything to do with Brandon's fault or anybody else's, that everything's coming in over budget. I sure as heck on this particular one do not want to, we've given a lot on that subdivision. And I don't want to be any way, shape or form paying a bill that should have been paid by this developer.
Correct. That was the first question I asked Brandon as well. And he feels comfortable. The amount that we are recommending to pull out of escrow, I think
Will
is
cover
more
it.
than sufficient to cover it.
Okay.
Is there a risk? Yes, that is the added part of that, potentially that portion would come back higher. I do know that the developer felt like the amount we estimated was way too high.
Okay.
But they did accept it because they wanted to be done with it.
Okay.
Dave, did we look in to see if this developer owed South Weber City for anything else?
I don't have any other outstanding payments from them. Not that other development situations would direct this development, but no, there's not anything else.
Okay. Other questions for a motion?
I'll do it.
You're on a roll.
Sure. Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 2235, the final acceptance of Ray Creek, where South Weber City has taken on the responsibility to repair the asphalt.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Okay. Councilman Halverson, we'll begin with you.
Aye.
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 Joe?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item 12, Resolution 22-36, Hill Air Force Base License Agreement. Any discussion or information on this?
I'm happy to answer any questions.
It's
The
something we do
one,
all the time.
yeah, this is the one thing that I think might come up is why is this backdated to 2018? Hill Air Force Base got a new employee charged specifically with making sure all of their monitoring well agreements were up to snuff and in place, and just make sure that was all buttoned up. And they recognized that ours had lapsed essentially, and so that's why it's backdated, just to show kind of a continuity of time frame for them.
I was just wondering, is there, I know with their air sampling, there's a compensation that they give for each unit that they put in a home. Is it similar with wells at all?
Yes, it is similar.
And we didn't know that we were actually getting it, and Mark McCray actually confirmed that a couple of years ago that we were getting it.
Do you remember what it is?
It's
Oh,
it's
500.
minimal.
I was gonna say,
It's
it's
500 set
500
fee,
is
not
what I thought.
per. It's
not
500
per,
all.
oh, not,
So
Oh,
this,
okay.
that is a change to the previous
I was
agreement.
gonna say, I don't
It
remember it being
was-
that high.
It was $10 per year previously.
Yeah.
We are recommending that it moves up to the 500, knowing that some of the wells that they're looking at here would be in right of way. And so we want to, there is time involved in ensuring that that is done properly. And so we wanted to make sure that that covered. You're the first body to look at it. So if they do not agree with that, and they or any other element of this and want to change, then it may not be executed that way. We'd bring any changes that they suggest back to you, but that is a change that we've discussed with their staff, and they have said, okay, we'll move that on. We recognize why you're requesting that. So we'll
Do
see
you feel
once
that
the,
that's sufficient for the work that will go into it?
yes.
So I'm kind of confused. This is for 20 new wells?
No, it's a total of 20
Okay.
wells.
So how many do we have right now?
I believe we only have a few, 2 or 3.
Yeah. Okay. Are they
On-
saying are you
This
saying,
is
we're-
just on city property.
But
This
they're
is
not-
not throughout the whole city.
yeah, but
They got
are they asking to add wells?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't,
Undecided locations at this point, recognizing potentially needing to add wells is what they're doing. Let me add one thing here. Not that this is or isn't a surprise or shouldn't be a surprise, I don't think, but they have constantly been monitoring the plumes as we know, right? The OU 1, 2, and 4 in South Weber City. There is a different chemical that they are now starting to track that they haven't tracked as specifically. And so they want to have an ability, if they need to add wells, to go through a process through the city to add those. Again, kind of disassociated with what's already there, that they're just trying to ensure that that other chemical is.
And if you're not aware of that, it's what Python has come and talked about a couple of times. It's the PS4. And I would try to tell you what that is, but I can't.
I couldn't remember the
Yeah,
acronym. I wasn't
but I
gonna
can,
say
I'm
it.
not gonna tell you the whole thing because I can never remember it. But it is what, I mean, we're fully aware of it. It's nothing new. It's actually, she gives a presentation. Thursday night, she'll be giving a presentation on that as well. And they are talking about new wells. I just didn't realize they were talking about new wells in South Weber. So
Yeah. There are more than just a few wells
Yeah.
in the city. There's a lot of wells in
Right.
the city, but just for public property, just city-owned property.
Which
There's-
property would, I mean, I know West End, I'm assuming. Which property do we have down there that they're wanting to put it on?
The ones that they have already targeted right now would be near 475 or along 475, but it's really an undetermined location at
yeah,
this
and they
point.
have a brand new contractor that's still going through that whole process too.
One thing they mentioned to us is that they've had a very difficult time kind of getting contractors on board, and the timing of that has always been very difficult. So they schedule really far in advance just to try to get people to be able to do that. And anyway, there's only 2 locations that they've said are kind of already identified as needing a well, or in that area needing a well, like I said, along 475 East. But other than that, they don't have any specific locations. That's why in the agreement, it specifically outlines a process for them to get approval for new locations.
I didn't understand that they had not already approved this, so I guess my question is the sequence of proper order. I mean, if we approve it and they reject it, then you guys haggle with them and then they come back with another proposal. And then, I mean, shouldn't we get it agreed with them first prior to us approving one?
Well, in any contract agreement, there's the potential for their body, whether that's another governing body, or if that's a contractor or somebody that doesn't like the terms of the contract. So that always happens, where one agency will approve it and then the other, you hope that they approve it. We have had conversations with their staff. It's just that one piece of a dollar change is the only thing I really wonder if they'll have any pushback on the hires up or higher ups. But I did talk with them specifically about that, and they felt like the best course of action was for us to approve it. That actually tells the Air Force, their staff can say this has already been approved by the local governing body, and they feel comfortable. So it might help the process along so it doesn't get stuck
Right.
within their own organization, so to speak.
No, that makes sense. So the number of 20, up to 20, did that come from them or is that us?
That was a request from them.
Okay.
Yes.
And then just final comment, do we know how much other cities are being paid to have wells on their property?
I haven't looked into that. That's a good
But I
question.
do know residents were higher than $10. I know a few specifics. I have no idea if I'm allowed to share those or not, but so, because that's what residents have told me, but they're not this high, but they're close.
I know the air sampling ones are 500.
Mhm. I've done the
In
air
your
sample.
home?
I've done the air sampling.
Okay, someone like to make a motion?
Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2236, Hill Air Force Base license agreement.
I'll second.
Second, for a roll call vote for Councilman Dills.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
I keep waiting for Angie.
That's what I was doing.
That's right. Okay.
Goosed me up. I was like, wait, why is Quinn saying something? She's here.
Okay, new business, anyone?
I have a couple things.
Okay.
First of all, we've made a number of improvements over to the dog park. We've got two of the very large, nigh indestructible picnic tables over there now. The residents are enjoying it. They're enjoying being able to sit around with their dogs and actually have a place to sit. With that, it also removes some of the debris and things that have been left there overnight. We're now asking them also to remove with them the dog toys and bowls that they bring in every night. If one of these hits the lawnmower, obviously we're going to have a huge amount of damage to it. But we're looking at some solutions to that, some things that may happen real quickly here for being able to handle both of those. So we've got good news on the dog park. It's moving, and quite honestly, it's probably one of our most popular parks right now if we just count daily usage. And that's not even with the dogs accounted. But on a more of a negative note on parks, we have had some vandalism done to some of our parks. This is something that we've gone on and have cleaned up and taken care of, but it's a problem in other areas. I hate seeing it starting to happen here. So I just ask everyone out there to remember that at 10 o'clock, the parks are closed. And if you see people running around and playing in there at night, don't hesitate. If you think that it's inappropriate or you're not sure even, call Davis County. We got a new contract with them. They'll be there and they'll be able to come out and, see what's going on. Tooele, for example, 4 of their 11 parks have been hit in the last 2 weeks. One of them, the damage was over $10,000 for the stuff that was done in the bathroom, which that would take a big hit to our budget. And also that is I think it's a class 2 felony, over 10 grand. So either way, whether it's people coming in or out, this is something that I would hope the public would start being eyeful of and seeing what's going on with it. We also have the pickleball is now open. People are already enjoying it. More people are welcome to come over and enjoy it. And it's moving pretty good. So parks wise, we've got a lot of movement this last couple of weeks. And so hope to see y'all out there.
Wanted to add one thing that was brought to our attention. There's people skating on our pickleball courts. I was wondering if we could get some signs to post on over there ASAP.
Yeah, signs are ordered already.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Thank
talked to
you.
Mark actually, and the signs should be in the next couple of days, and then they can go on and post them. I don't know if skating was one of the things listed on there, was
It
it?
is, yeah,
It is?
no
Or
skateboards, rollerblades, that kind of thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Too bad you can't just say only pickleball use for this court.
It could be implied, but
Right.
Any other items? Anyone have new business?
Not for new business. Are we doing reports?
Yes, do that next. The only item we might do on new business would be, do we want to set up and have a discussion on the rental,
oh,
long-term rental?
yes. Thank you for
with-
bringing that
with
up.
What's happening, had several of our residents bring it up with individuals that are renting out individual bedrooms in a home. You could have up to 5 different people renting out of that home, and maybe we need to look at that code.
If our current code doesn't address it with the family, we have the issue of, what is it, 4, I think it says in our current code.
Yeah, it's no more than 4 unrelated people who use the same living areas.
And so if that doesn't address that and allow us to stop that, then yes, I think we need to address something.
Are we having more than 4 people? Is that?
Yes. Yeah. So we have, well, and additionally, I think we have something in our code, like regarding a IADUs and short terms, one group home, like we made sure, like if there's multiple kitchens or whatnot, like how many people can be renting? And in this case, it's however many bedrooms are in the home. So in some cases, it's 6 or 7. So a single family home that anticipated 2 or 3 cars now has 6 or 7 cars parked there, and it's just causing, but
Well, we can enforce that code language
That's what
as
I was saying.
is
I think
at
our
4.
current code could even address that.
Yeah, I think you certainly have the language in your code to be able to enforce that. The issue is gathering the facts to be able to enforce it. And it's difficult where you can't go in the home to look at it, whether you do it. Haley floated some ideas in an email, and what I would recommend doing is try to enforce against a few, and then if you bump up against problems, that might help you understand where the weak points are in your code. And then you can reinforce those so that you can address it. But I think you'd have to watch and count vehicles, get pictures, get statements from neighbors, and then that would give you enough to go at the owner of the home and enforce.
so Dave, I believe I sent that specific email on to you and Chris at one point in time. Will you guys be able to look into that?
Yeah,
And
we'll follow up on that.
I think we have a few statements from neighbors as well, if
Okay.
we need more. I don't know if they went to staff or just council, but if you need more, I think we
Do
have,
you have the specific address in that email?
there's several. But yes, I can
There's
get
more than one?
Mhm.
Okay.
I can add 2 to that also.
Yeah. If you run into that type of scenario, yeah, let me know, or let Chris know, and I can follow up with Chris on it.
Okay.
So we can start that process of gathering the data, and we'll work closely with Jamie as far as what we will need to make sure we have a watertight case there.
Okay. Thank you.
So with this, would business licensing be able to help also on that?
You could consider that, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So business licensing for long-term rental is not required in South Weber.
Right.
So if you're renting longer than 30 days, whether that's to 4 people or to 1 family, there's not a business license required. If you have an IADU, an internal accessory dwelling unit that you're renting out long-term, again, to 1 family or to, by definition, 4 unrelated or less or fewer, then that does require a business license. So that can be, if somebody is operating like that, more than 4 people is the number, and more than 30 days, then we have something there. If it's less than 30 days and there's no business license, we can go with that immediately. We've already gone through that process, so.
Well, I thought in code it actually says that anyone making over $250 a year on any type of business entity, that is a business, and it does require a business license. Doesn't get into any specifics, so I don't think it's very fleshed out at this time. But I'm pretty sure it says under there, whether it's under business license or not, that after $250, you do need one. So we can definitely add some more meat to that, so that if they have one, then we can require a business license, spell it out for them. And if that, I think that gives us a little bit of more of the authority to be able to not only inspect and see what may be going on, but also shut it down and not just let it keep going, because we have specific penalties already assigned with operating a business in the state or in the city without a license.
Right.
So,
I'll look at that angle. That
Yeah, I'll
seems to have some potential.
Can I just, so we're business license requirements is coming up in code committee, like straw poll, is that something regarding long-term rentals? Something
I would disagree with that.
you don't want to look into that option?
I think you start getting into a lot more property rights type things, in my personal opinion. I don't know of a city that has, that I am aware of, that has, that if you buy a home and you long-term rent it, that requires you to have a business license. And even some of the strictest cities, Park City, and that does not require a business license to do long-term rentals on a home.
Quinn, do you have
We-
thoughts? Sorry, go ahead.
We could research it, but I'll say my personal preference is probably in line with Blair's, that cities don't do it because it's an administrative headache. You have too many people that rent homes, and cities just have no sense for how many they are that are long-term rentals, and by all appearances are just as if they're
Yeah.
owner occupied, right?
And just in our little West End and our irrigation company, which is a fraction of the city, there's probably over 100. I mean, there's a lot of rentals.
Yeah.
That people are, and they're great neighbors. I mean, they're families, no one would even know they're renting.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so when I sent out the email, that was kind of what I was hoping to clarify was with that definition of family was enough to enforce it. Because if it is, and they're being problematic, then, and we don't need to go the business licensing route, then that's beneficial. If it wasn't, then I think that we need to look at something
What you
different.
may look at is whether you want to have a licensing requirement for room by room rental of a home.
Uh-huh.
And then you would capture a much smaller
yeah, and that would be-
activity.
So that's the
And
ones
then-
that we're going
And then the
for.
advantage, as we learned in Cobblestone, of having a business license requirement is it gives you an easy tool for regulating the behavior, right? You can do
Right.
inspections, you can ask questions, you can require certifications.
But it also means we allow it. And I think that, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I'm just wondering, can we write, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but I think all of us here are okay if it's a single contract. You know, it's one family living in a home rather than, 5 separate contracts for long-term rentals. Is there a way to just negate, if you're doing long-term rental, it's one single contract? Or one,
Let me do a
Family
little
unit?
research there and see if I can find other cities that have restricted multi-contract rentals of the same property.
That's a good idea.
I've seen where they've done that
We
on
can look at
short term.
Yeah, and I
rental,
could-
but not
yeah,
on-
I would
long-term, yeah, is a different boat.
I'll make a
It'd
note.
be
I
interesting
think
to
it's tough
see.
because by definition, you can have 4 unrelated.
Mhm.
And so that doesn't create a little gray area, but let's look into that. I think there's great opportunity there.
And I think the
Potentially
other,
close the loop.
my other thought on is sometimes in those situations where you have multiple renters, you violate something else, like the parking.
Mhm.
Wintertime, they're not all gonna have parking. Summertime, okay, they're all out on the street and maybe you don't know, but I mean, there may be other, excuse me, other avenues to also stop it or discourage it.
Good thought.
Great. Okay, let's have council reports. Want to start?
Yeah, the only thing I have to report on is that we are having the Hill Air Force Base Restoration Advisory Board meeting Thursday. If there's anything you would like me to ask, I'm happy to ask it. So. What's that? It is at Sunset, city offices at 6:30 Thursday night. And the public is welcome to come and give public comment as well.
There you go, Bob.
We usually have someone from South Weaver give public comment, so. Hey, individuals haven't been there as often as they have in the past, but I hear they may be there.
Okay, Quinn?
I don't have any new updates. The admin finance is in progress. We talked about the budget thing already. Gravel pits, there's no new developments that I'm aware of there. We're still monitoring.
How are the boxes looking?
The last 3 weeks it's gone down, but 3 weeks ago it was quite high. Your area actually is higher than average than it was last year. There is one corridor coming straight through Cedar Cove, Cambridge Crossing, and up on View Drive, down through yours that is higher than average.
Hmm.
And we've made Sticker Parson aware of that. They are looking at other options. I think I may have mentioned this last time, beyond just water to mitigate, but they don't have anything confirmed yet. They're going to be trying some stuff, but yes, unfortunately, there's that swath that's higher than average right now.
Thank you.
Haley?
Me. The only update I have is co-committee met. We discussed R7 today, kind of what our goals are for that zone, what we want to see, what we don't want to see, and kind of how to create what we want from what other cities have already learned. So we're going to be sent staff to work on that, and they'll bring it back and in 2 weeks. So.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Bill?
I already jumped the gun on mine. I was just so excited. So no, I don't have any more.
Okay, I have nothing. Staff?
Just a reminder, it was already brought up a little bit, but this Saturday is the grand opening celebration of the Canyon Meadows Park West. 9 o'clock is the ribbon cutting. So those council members that are in town, we'd love to have you there. We'll have your scissors ready to go so that you can officially cut the ribbon and open that park. So we do have.
Did you,
What's the date?
Saturday?
the 2nd.
I was thinking I put it on the wrong date, sorry.
did you make an exception for Blair? He brings a chainsaw to the event.
I just might now.
If you want to, that would be pretty exciting. It's 9 a.m. for the ribbon cutting. We do have a pickleball clinic that's free for anybody that'd like to attend. 7:30 for those that have played more than 5 times, kind of intermediate level. And right after the ribbon cutting at 9:30 for beginners. We also have food trucks, 2 that have committed to come, Kona Ice and Churro Mazing for churros and snow cones. We'll have those from 9 to 11. And so we hope that even if you're not going to come play pickleball, you'll be able to come and be part of the ceremony and have some food trucks. So it's going to be a fun day. And the other,
In town.
and the only other report I have is we followed up with UDOT, or we officially presented our plan to UDOT for the digital sign. We're waiting to hear back, but that the mayor presented a couple weeks ago has been forwarded on, and
In writing?
yes.
Thank you.
Yep, in writing. So that's my 2 items.
Thank you,
It
Dave.
reminded me of one thing. I will not be here for the parade, just so you know. Just putting that, so I didn't get hung up on the weekend. So you can hang me up before that, but
That's really disappointing, Blair.
I have all the signs at my house if anyone would like them.
Have a cardboard cutout we can just put up.
I'll get that out. I'll get that put together.
Oh, yeah. Put a target on him.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you, everyone. If we have nothing else, we'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Seconded?
Do we second that?
Yeah,
Is that a question?
all are in favor.